Hello, Assalamualaikum. Now we are going to discuss the topic fallacy, and these fallacy, we have four type of fallacy, and we have to discuss the third one, which is the fallacy of ambiguity. The word ambiguity means unclear, doubtful, vagueness, where the meanings are not certain or clear. So before going to start the session about the fallacy of the ambiguity, I have to be take some highlights over the definition of fallacy. What fallacy is about? So, what is fallacy? Fallacy is error in mistake. Fallacy committed an argument, which means creating an illusion, or argument is bias, and there is no proper justification or claim for such argument. So the fallacy means what? The fault an argument, a faulty argument, a poor argument, a bad argument, creating an illusion, or the argument is not sound, and argument is very weakened. Okay, fine. The fallacy of ambiguity means what? The fallacy of ambiguity is that type of fallacy in which the meanings are not clear, meanings is not certain, vagueness are there, or improper words are there, incorrect word phrases in grammar are there, and there is a lot of error in their composition and division also. So this type of fallacy is mainly belongs to in writing, when you deliver the argument in the form of writing, and most in the form of grammatically, and mostly in the form of rhetoric, with the accent, with the pronunciation. So a fallacy of ambiguity, you can say that some grammatical orator or rhetoric error. So vagueness in word, vagueness in phrases, vagueness in grammar, and there's some complex structure that lead toward the different meaning, and we can't understand the meaning of it due to that use of that multiple meanings are there. So ambiguity means it's not clear. Ambiguity means the point is not clear. Uncertainty are there, or uh, ambiguity shows that improper improper words are provided to communicate that part. So the fallacy of ambiguity is further divided into three, further divided into five parts: equivocation, ambiguity, accent, composition, and the fifth one is division. So we have to be first click over the equivocation. So equivocation means what? This is the type of fallacy which is committed a term or a word which is used in argument that give you quite different meanings, that lead toward the different meanings and give the another concept and perception. So equivocation means where the term and the word is not used correctly. Here the relation of the words and the phrases are not sound and not up to the conclusion that you want to be justified. This occurs mostly in the premises and is inferred in the conclusion. For example, if you say that law can be replaced by legislation, so law of gravity too. But here the word law, the first law is a legal word, and the second law is a physical law in physics, is a theory, is an academic one. So both these are not the same. The law was passed in parliament and by the legislation. This one is quite different scenario. But on the another case, the law of gravity, the law of demand, it doesn't mean that type of law. So here the word has a meaning. The law means a set of rules. The law means some set of principle. But in both cases, there is a quite different situation. The second one is related and belongs to the academic theory. I have give you the one more example of equivocation, that power corrupts you. Knowledge is power. Therefore, knowledge is corrupt. It is quite irrelevant. There is a lot of ambiguity hidden in that topic. God is love, love is blind, therefore God is blind. So there is a wrong connection of it. You wrongly equivocate one word to the another. Power corrupts you, knowledge is power, therefore knowledge is corrupt. So this one mislead you. So two or more meanings are used, and the word or the phrase are apply and used quite differently. So equivocation means you will better understand that when you relate the words or the phrases with the other meaning, where the meanings, the word has the multiple meanings, and in that scenario the meanings are quite different. So that's why we can say that it is quite ambiguous. Yes, ambiguous. Why? Because the meanings are not clear, meaning is not certain. Okay, fine. The next one is amphiboly. Amphiboly, the words are interpreted in more meaning. Any one word is interpreted in any multiple more meanings. So he had a mistake. At least courage to admit his mistake. So here the both the word are used in different interpretation. If he had a mistake, so why he had courage? He is why he admitted this mistake. In this kind of argument, unlike equivocation, fallacy committed when a phrase or proposition is vague. Vague means the clearly emptiness. So you can say that there is a suspect to various interpretation. Interpretation is suspect and doubtous, means doubtful. For example, I have one more example. One of the professor of biology uh, given a lecture about the failure of heart failure in the biology in the lecture hall. Therefore, it must be the case that there has been a number of heart failure in the biology lecture hall recently. It never be. So here the words are interpreted in the multiple more meaning, or this one clearly show that words what is not related, the meanings are not clear. Okay, fine. The third one is accent, pronunciation, emphasize. When we are at the oral communication, the speaking way, so we put some emphasis on any words, so it give you the different meaning. And when we do writing, we highlight, just like a headlines of newspaper or media channel trigger as a breaking news. So all these sensational words, the headlines and the highlighted word, put too much emphasis on some meanings and some words. So this is called fallacy of ambiguity. Okay, fine. The last two is one is composition, and the another is division. Composition and the division. So first we have to be talk about the composition. Composition is that type of fallacy committed when someone assumes that whatever is true of part must be of true as a whole. Whatever be true as a part must be true as a whole. For example, sodium and the chlorine, sodium Na, chlorine Cl, and both are combined, they give you what? NaCl, sa- which is called salt, right? So composition assign attribute to part as a whole. As a whole meaning is quite different. assign attribute to part as well. NaCl is poison. So part as a whole, NaCl is poison itself, and sodium is too. So composition of it makes another meaning. The fallacy of composition show that sodium and chlorine are poison substance, as we know that. It therefore follows that sodium chloride, which make combinedly known as the salt. Uh, Salt is also the poisoning substance. So Na separately is treated as someone different, but Cl, when combined with the NaCl, so it become a salt and give you the quite different meaning. Okay, fine. Division. This type of fallacy committed when one assumes that whatever is true of whole, must be true of a part as a whole must be true as a part. This is a division, and you will be revert that example of the previous one. Salt composition is as a whole is quite different meaning, but when we separated this into Na and Cl, so chloride give you the another meaning, and sodium Na give you the another meaning. So this type of fallacy tells you that as a whole the meaning are quite different, and as a part meaning are quite different. When we relate with each other and see the things as a whole, we have quite different meaning. And when we study and when give argument on a part, so this one become quite different. So fallacy of ambiguity as a whole show some sort of rhetoric skill to put the highlight to emphasize on facts, or to extract some points as a division and give impact on the another argument to support their conclusion, or accent of it too much emphasize on anything make the argument weaken and the strong. So equivocation of the words also matter, where you use that term and where this word has been used or not, and what does it mean in that scenario. So all these matter. So the false of ambiguity, the fallacy of ambiguity is like a sophist. Sophism, sophism are those who use their words, the knowledge, and the wisdom to justify their own thing. But in the modern days, now it's completely changed. Now it's a democratic one. Everyone is understanding with the sharing ideas. Meanings are quite clear, and we are not only emphasize on the accent and use of technical terms in jargon. So we will be unchained from this sophistic and the Sufism school of thought. So nowadays we all are rational, we are enlightened one, and we have an understanding, better understanding to be understand all those terms and conditions. So fallacy of so where is the application of all of this? Using the TV commercial mostly, using the social network, media program, movie script, novel. In many ways, all these fallacies are used. So fallacy of ambiguity, uh, what they say, an expression is ambiguous if it is doubtful to different interpretation. Many multiple interpretations are there. When the conclusion of the argument is completely dependent on ambiguous meaning and expression, the wrong interpretation of an ambiguous statement. So that's why we say that this argument is committing a fallacy of ambiguity, because the meanings are not clear. The fallacy of amphiboly, what they say, I will repeat it again, that this is a kind of grammatical form of error in putting the wrong jargon and the grammatical work and emphasize through the punctuation. The fallacy of composition. This occurs when there is a wrong transfer of a characteristic from the part of something to as a whole, from the part to as a whole. Example, because each member of X has a property P, the whole X also has a property of P. So we have to be accept all these differences. Example, each singer in the cheer sing as well, it follow the cheer sing well. No, never. Fallacy of composition, when we compose all the units in the past together, so as a whole it gives a quite different meaning. Fallacy of division, what they say, fallacy of division tell you the wrong transfer of from whole to some part. So augment from the because the whole X has the property and the P, each member of member X also has the property P. So as a whole, their meanings are there. As an individual, their rights are quite different. So don't confuse the fallacy of accident with the fallacy of previous one, which is the fallacy of defective induction. So accident is quite different. Division. Division proceed from the whole class to the every member. Okay, the fallacy of ambiguity is completed now, and now we will move to the next one, which is the fallacy of. We have done it fallacy of relevance. We have done the fallacy of presumption. We have done the fallacy of defective induction, and we have done the fallacy of ambiguity. So we have to make one quick review over it, and we have so another much another important fallacies are there. And as we told you there is an application of all type of fallacy in TV commercials, in advertisement, in social networking website. We have a content war. A lot of logical fallacies are committed there. In a popular argument, majorly the bandwagon argument are committed in media, in political support, newspaper article. The too much highlight and emphasize of this fallacies are there. Marketing campaign, the marketeer are mostly they are using the that type of fallacy, and they committed a multiple fallacies of these two. Social activists, social media trend, the Twitter trend, and the blogging trends, all these. So we have some more types of fallacies, which is named as like fallacies that ignore some issues. Number one, the argument to the person, which is known as ad hominem. Ad hominem means the personal attack. Mostly, these are properly. I have taken the discussion. Those fallacy which are commonly and most commonly apply in a different field. Number one, the argument to the person. Mostly the people do the argument on a character, on a personal, on their private note, not on their statement, on their argument by providing the source of evidence and the facts are there. So argument to the person is a personal attack, character assassination, and never understand their dif- uh, divide line between the personal attacks and the logical argument. Argument to the people and the person is has think that when you say that this one is this one is a word of the most of the people, the traditions say, the authorities say, and the begging the question means what? The circular begging the question means like a circular reasoning. They put and impose some question in it, and you will be talk within the within that paradigm. Non-sequitur is an type of fallacy and red herring distraction. So what they say, argument against a person, they attack the person or opponent character instead of his argument. So you put the argument against the argument. You never put the argument on a personal character. It is very wrong. Appeal to people at populum. It means the arguer excite emotion from the crowd. And the indirect approach, the augur appeal to some individuals by focusing on some aspect of those individual relationship to the crowd. An argument committing this type of fallacy creates the illusion that inadequate premises provide adequate support for a conclusion. It presumes the truth of premises that is needed to provide adequate support for the conclusion. Petito principi. This type of fallacy is called the circular reasoning, or circular reasoning, or you can say that begging the question. The both are the same in both cases. In both cases, the arguer who claim their argument on the basis of their circular reasoning or giving the questions. Right? Circular reasoning is what we have the example. The critical thinking is that type of thinking in which we think critically. He is a very good student because he look very good. So he's a good because he look very good. So what? Why we say that it is good? Because we have no reason to explain that. So any type of argument which support that type of nature, filling with the circular argument. So the one premises relate to the another premises and that lead to the conclusion. Okay. Irrelevant reason, non-sequitur, which is say that non-sequitur means the premises and the conclusion is not match up with each other. Okay, fine. Strawman. Strawman, when men set up weak different version of opponent argument that take down. When they are quite aware about the weakness of their set and dangerous. Weakened person. Red herring. Red herring is a kind of fish. Red herring is a kind of fish, or mostly the red herring is completely distraction from the main ideas in the main topic, or you're talking about some irrelevant and topic. So you want to change the topic and to change the ideas, and so red herring is a quite debate, and someone say that this practicing it may intentionally, and lot of debates are there where we have one side opinion and one side position taking without any uh, irrelevance with relevancy of that premises and the conclusion. So this is called red herring. Another important fallacy that oversimplify the issues. The first one is bandwagon, which is called the popular argument. When we say that everybody is doing that, everybody has done that. The second one is either or, which is called the alternative and post hoc. And the faulty analogy, in which the cause and effect are related to each other. And finally, post hoc, false cause and effect. If this thing has happened because of that. So we have more examples, either or, either you will choose the my side or you will choose the enemy side. So you have two options, you will be go for it, you will do or die. So between them you have no option, you have no alternative. This is a very weak argument. So reducing one issue to only one side, and there is no other possible option. This type of fallacy is said to be either or, which is either or. Faulty analogy is a type of demonstration. Just like that, when I say that a ludo game is like a live game is just like a ludo. uh, we uh, we grow up, there is a snake and they will try to let down us. So in life also there is a lot of people like in a snake, and everyone is trying to pull back down to our motivation and the morale. So faulty analogy when you relate two things quite differently, but they have no same meaning here. An inappropriate comparison and inaccurate comparison. When I was your age, I walked 5 miles to school in the snow. So why do you need a car? So that time and that time was quite different. That age and that different. at that time we don't have a car and now you have a car. So it means there's a quite differences we have seen. And again, the popular one, everybody is doing it because so we have to be follow. Questionable cause called also known as the post hoc. Post hoc means false cause and effect. No relevant consequences are there. How do I know that tea is the cure for the common cold? Last week I has a bad case of the sniffing, and I drank a cup of tea, ginseng tea, and the next morning my sniffle was gone. So the reason is that whenever you take a tea ginseng, you will be removed from the sniffle. So this is not the way. This is not the relation of these two things. There is no logical pattern, or you will never say that this one is always workable. This is called questionable cause. There is no right cause and effect are there. Haste make ways. Haste means hurrier. Hasty generalization where oversimplify the things. Oversimplify the thing. Hasty generalization means data is generalized. Just like that, a bisample is one that represented of the target population. A target population is a group of people, and they are facing lead to some stereotyping, prejudice. So conclusion from the insufficient amount. The conclusion is insufficient. So this is called hasty generalization, and we have a sweeping generalization where we ignore some assumptions. So these are the important fallacies. So that's all about it. And in the next, we have to be overlook on the chapter the fallacy from the book Irving Hopi.